The silver disk of the alien vessel hung above New York City, rippling with colors no human eye had seen before. From its belly, a delegation of the Galactic Conclave descended, their forms varied and strange. The tallest among them, an elongated being with iridescent skin, stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Tahoe of the Azari," he announced, his universal translator converting his musical tones to English. "We represent the Galactic Conclave, a union of 37 spacefaring civilizations." President Kim stood her ground, appearing appropriately impressed but not intimidated. "Earth welcomes you. I am President Joo Kim of the United Nations Earth Government." The crowd gathered in Central Park gasped and murmured. Some people cried. Others cheered. Most simply stared in shock. Humans were not alone in the universe, and now they had proof. The aliens looked nothing like humans had imagined. Tahoe was tall and thin with skin that seemed to shift colors like oil on water. His 4 arms ended in 7-fingered hands. His eyes, all 6 of them, blinked in different patterns. The other aliens were just as strange. One looked like a walking plant. Another floated in a bubble of liquid. Security teams kept the crowds back as President Kim led the aliens to waiting vehicles. The motorcade moved slowly through streets lined with curious onlookers. At the United Nations building, world leaders waited. They had been told about the aliens only hours before they arrived. Many still looked pale with shock. Later that evening, after formal introductions and the expected diplomatic niceties, Ambassador Tahoe's true attitude emerged during a private dinner. "Your species has only recently discovered basic space travel," he observed, mandibles clicking in what the humans would later learn was amusement. "Quaint that you call those little trips to your moon and Mars exploration." Defense Secretary Junho Lee maintained his composure, though his knuckles whitened around his water glass. "We are still developing," he acknowledged with forced humility. Tahoe waved a hand dismissively. "Of course, all species begin somewhere. The Azari achieved faster-than-light travel 6,000 years ago. The youngest member of the Conclave, the Rin, mastered it only 5 centuries ago." "And how long did it take your people to reach that point?" asked Secretary Lee. "From your current level of development, perhaps 200 years, if you're clever." Tahoe's skin rippled with colors. "We would be happy to provide guidance under certain conditions." President Kim smiled politely. Earth would be grateful for any assistance. The alien ambassador laid out the terms. Earth could join the Galactic Conclave as an observational member. This meant humans could learn from the advanced species but would have no vote in Conclave matters. Earth would provide resources and allow aliens to study human culture. In return, the aliens would slowly share some of their more basic technologies. "It is for your own protection," Tahoe explained. "Young species often destroy themselves when given too much knowledge too quickly." That night, after the aliens retired to their vessel, President Kim convened her inner council in a secure underground facility designed to block all known surveillance technologies. The room was plain. No windows, no decorations, just a round table with 12 chairs. "They think exactly what we wanted them to think," she said, turning to Space Admiral Dong-Yun Park. Status of sanctuary. Park's weathered face broke into a rare smile. Phase 3 completed last month. Current population, 17 million. Self-sufficiency reached at 98.4%. The council members exchanged knowing looks. On the wall, a hidden screen activated to show a massive structure hidden within Saturn's rings. It looked like a giant wheel spinning slowly in space, lights glittering along its rim. "The aliens have no idea?" asked General Jin, his eyes fixed on the image. "None," confirmed Intelligence Director Neri. "Our deception networks are holding. Their scans see only what we want them to see." President Kim nodded with satisfaction. 40 years of preparation, 4 decades of secret construction and technological development, and they think we just reached Mars. The hidden truth that no alien had detected. Humanity had been building a massive habitat in Saturn's rings for the past 40 years, concealed by technology that even the arrogant Azari would envy. "How long should we maintain the charade?" asked Secretary Lee. President Kim considered the question. "As long as necessary. Let them underestimate us. Let them think we are primitive and harmless. Meanwhile, we'll learn everything we can from them." "And if they discover sanctuary?" asked Director Neri. "They won't," Admiral Park said confidently. "Not unless we want them to." The meeting continued late into the night as Earth's leaders planned their strategy. All while above them, the alien ship hovered, its occupants completely unaware that the primitive humans were far more advanced than they appeared. 6 months after first contact, Earth had reluctantly accepted its observational status in the Galactic Conclave. The alien embassy dominated what had once been Central Park, a towering structure of impossible architecture that seemed to defy Earth's gravity. Its walls shifted colors with the time of day, and parts of it seemed to fade in and out of reality. Tourists gathered at the safety barriers, taking pictures and pointing at the alien guards. The guards stood 3 meters tall with 4 arms and skin like polished metal. They never moved, never seemed to blink. Jisoo, Earth's lead scientific liaison, walked through the embassy's main entrance. The security scan tingled as it passed over her body. She knew it was reading not just her physical form, but her thoughts as well. She had been trained to keep her mind focused only on the task at hand when near aliens. Inside, the embassy was even stranger than its exterior. Rooms shifted size. Corridors changed direction. The lighting came from nowhere and everywhere. Ambassador Taiho's assistant, Minji, waited in what the aliens called the exchange chamber. Unlike Taiho, Minji was short with a round body. Her skin was deep blue, and her eyes, all 8 of them, constantly blinked in patterns. "Good morning, Dr. Jisoo," Minji said, her translator making her clicks and whistles into perfect English. "I trust you have brought something interesting today." Jisoo nodded and placed a case on the table. Inside was a quantum computer, the newest model that Earth officially acknowledged. "Our latest breakthrough in quantum technology." Minji examined the computer with careful hands. Her eyes blinked rapidly, scanning every component. "Interesting attempt," Minji commented, her compound eyes blinking in sequence. "Though your understanding of quantum entanglement is elementary at best." "We're learning every day," Jisoo replied, suppressing her knowledge that the computer before them was deliberately outdated technology, designed to be impressive enough to earn respect, but primitive enough to support the aliens' preconceptions. The real quantum computers were hidden in facilities deep below the ocean floor. They were 50 times more powerful than this decoy. "Perhaps we can offer guidance in this area," Minji said. "The Conclave has approved sharing basic quantum principles with Earth." Jisoo bowed slightly. Earth would be grateful for any knowledge the Conclave wishes to share. Meanwhile, 3,000 kilometers away, in a subterranean transport hub beneath the Atlantic Ocean, engineer Sunwoo calibrated the matter stream transport system. The massive chamber, hidden under 2 kilometers of water and 1 kilometer of rock, hummed with energy. 3,000 humans waited in the prep area. They were emigrants bound for sanctuary. On paper, they were relocating to research stations in Antarctica or underwater habitats. In reality, they would never set foot on Earth again. "Final checks complete," Sunwoo announced. "Transport begins in 3 minutes." The transport system was Earth's greatest secret achievement. It would convert the 3,000 humans into data and instantly reassemble them within Sanctuary's receiving chambers near Saturn. The technology was at least 500 years beyond what the aliens believed humans capable of. The chamber began to glow. People held hands. Some cried with excitement. "Transport initiated," Sunwoo said. The 3,000 people dissolved into streams of light. In less than a second, they were gone. Safely arrived at Sanctuary, 1.4 billion kilometers away. Overhead, the aliens' monitoring satellites saw only what humans wanted them to see: a species struggling to advance, grateful for the occasional technological hints the conclave deigned to provide. Deep within those satellites, hidden human technology created false readings. The aliens saw busy Antarctic research stations that didn't exist. They saw underwater habitats that were really empty shells. They never detected the matter stream transports or the millions of humans leaving Earth each year. In Sanctuary, now housing 22 million humans, Advanced Defense Director Hyjin stood at the Central Command Center. The station was buried within an artificial moonlet orbiting Saturn. Through its windows, the massive ring structure of Sanctuary gleamed in the distant sunlight. Sanctuary was a marvel of engineering. A rotating ring 120 kilometers in diameter, it created artificial gravity through rotation. Its outer shell contained living areas for millions. Parks, lakes, and forests filled its inner surfaces. The entire structure could be cloaked from detection. Hyjin studied the holographic display showing the positions of alien ships throughout the solar system. None were looking toward Saturn. Her team had developed a predictive countermeasure system so sophisticated that it anticipated and neutralized alien scanning attempts before they occurred. "They never even look our way," she reported to Sanctuary Governor Minjin. Too busy watching Earth and feeling superior. Governor Minjin nodded. He was an older man with gray hair and calm eyes. "How is the new defense grid?" "Fully operational," Hyjin replied. "If they ever did look this way, they still wouldn't see us." "And the expansion?" "On schedule. Sanctuary will accommodate another 5 million by year's end." Minjin smiled. The aliens thought humans were primitive, barely able to reach Mars. They had no idea that humanity had mastered technologies the Conclave believed impossible. And they had no idea just how many humans were now living beyond Earth, hidden in plain sight. "Let them keep underestimating us," Minjin said. "The longer they do, the stronger we become." The alarm sounded first at the Solar Observation Station in Australia. The readings were so extreme that the system initially reported an error, but there was no error. "Get me the president," Director Human said, his voice steady despite the fear in his eyes. Within an hour, alien observatories had detected the same thing. A massive solar flare unlike anything recorded in human history was building on the sun's surface. It would hit Earth in exactly 7 days. The news spread quickly. People panicked. Some rioted. Others prayed. Many simply sat in stunned silence as they watched the reports. "The flare will destroy most electronic systems," a scientist explained on global television. "The radiation will be extreme. Most shelters won't provide enough protection." At the United Nations emergency session, the alien delegation arrived with unusual speed. Ambassador Tahoe's normally shimmering skin was dull with concern. For once, the aliens weren't acting superior. They seemed genuinely worried. "This is beyond anything your planet has faced," Tahoe told the assembled world leaders. "We have run simulations. The results are unfortunate." President Kim sat at the center of the human delegation. Her face revealed nothing of her thoughts. "What are our options, Ambassador?" The Conclave Emergency Council had convened immediately upon learning of the flare. Ambassador Tahoe addressed President Kim with what seemed like genuine concern. "Our evacuation vessels can transport approximately 50 million humans to safety," he stated. "We recommend prioritizing your leadership, scientific community, and a genetically diverse sample of your general population." A ripple of shock passed through the human delegates. Only 50 million out of Earth's 8 billion people. Deputy Ambassador Jinni, an aquatic species that required a hovering water tank to survive in Earth's atmosphere, moved forward. Water sloshed around her tentacled body as she spoke. "We can preserve sufficient genetic material to eventually restore your species, of course," she added, as if this were a generous offer. President Kim maintained a carefully crafted expression of desperate gratitude. 50 million out of 8 billion, she whispered. "It is unfortunate," Tahoe acknowledged, "but more than would survive otherwise." The meeting continued for hours. The aliens outlined their evacuation plan. 50 massive ships would land at designated points around Earth. Humans would be selected based on criteria the conclave had determined would best preserve the species. Those chosen would be allowed to bring only what they could carry. "Where will you take them?" asked Defense Secretary Shunho Lee. "To habitable worlds within conclave space," Taiho replied. "Your people will be treated well as refugees." Later that day, as the world governments publicly deliberated which humans would be saved, President Kim returned to her secure bunker beneath the White House. Her inner council waited. Their faces were grim but determined. "The aliens suspect nothing?" asked Admiral Dong-yen. "Nothing," Kim confirmed. "They truly believe we have no options beyond their generous offer." 50 million, General Jin said with disgust. "They would let billions die and act as if they're doing us a favor." President Kim nodded slowly. "Now we know. The conclave sees us as livestock to be selectively bred, not as equals." She straightened in her chair. "It's time." She pressed her palm against a scanner. The computer recognized her biometrics and displayed a command prompt. With steady fingers, she typed the authorization code and spoke the activation phrase. "Break silence." The command traveled instantly through secret networks to every corner of the planet. Within minutes, hidden facilities that had existed for decades began to activate. In New York, a subway station closed for repairs suddenly opened new tunnels that led to vast underground chambers. In Beijing, what appeared to be ordinary office buildings revealed themselves as processing centers. In the Sahara, sand shifted to expose massive hangar doors. On television screens worldwide, President Kim addressed humanity. "Citizens of Earth, we face a crisis of unprecedented scale. The Galactic Conclave has offered to evacuate 50 million people." She paused. "We have a better plan." She explained Protocol Exodus. For 40 years, Earth had been preparing for various doomsday scenarios. The hidden space habitat sanctuary was ready to receive Earth's population. Transport systems existed worldwide to move billions of people off-planet in days. "Proceed calmly to your designated evacuation centers," she instructed. "You will be given further directions there." Throughout Earth, in deep underground facilities, hidden mountain bunkers, and undersea domes, humanity revealed its true face. Ordinary citizens calmly proceeded to evacuation centers that had existed, hidden in plain sight, for decades. In London, a family of 4 walked into what appeared to be a normal tube station. The mother, a school teacher, showed her ID to a guard who had appeared from nowhere. The guard scanned it and pointed them toward a new platform. "Destination: Sanctuary Processing Hub 27, he said. "Please proceed directly to the transport chamber." The family joined thousands of others on a platform that had not existed the day before. Ahead of them, people stepped into chambers of light and vanished. The aliens watched in confusion as humans everywhere moved with purpose rather than panic. Something was happening that they didn't understand. Something that wasn't in any of their predictions. Ambassador Taiho sat in his private chamber in the alien embassy. The room shifted and flowed around him, adjusting to his mood. Right now, it was calm and orderly as he reviewed the final evacuation manifests on a floating screen. The lists contained the names of 50 million humans chosen to survive. Leaders, scientists, artists, and a carefully selected sample of the general population. The rest, over 7 billion people, would be left behind to face the solar flare. It was unfortunate but necessary. Young species often faced extinction events. The strong survived. Taiho's aide, a young Azeri named Kulo, burst into the chamber without announcing himself. This was highly unusual and against all protocol. "Sir, you need to see this immediately." Taiho's mandibles clicked with irritation. "What is so urgent that you—" His words stopped as Kulo activated the main view screen. The image showed a satellite view of Earth. Across the planet's surface, something impossible was happening. The ground was opening. Mountains were sliding apart. Ocean surfaces were parting. And from these openings, ships were emerging. Thousands of massive ships, far larger than anything the humans had ever shown the Conclave. Impossible, Taiho whispered, mandibles quivering in shock. The ships were sleek, advanced, and unmistakably capable of faster-than-light travel. Their hulls gleamed with a material the Azeri database couldn't identify. Energy readings from the vessels exceeded anything in the Conclave's records for a species at Earth's development stage. Kulo's voice shook. "They're everywhere, sir. Launching sites on every continent, under every ocean." Taiho stood up so quickly his chair disappeared into the floor. "Contact all Conclave ships in the system. I want answers now." But answers were hard to come by. The Conclave ships in orbit reported that the human vessels were ignoring all communication attempts. They were simply rising into the sky by the thousands. From his command ship orbiting Earth, Admiral Dongyan Park directed the greatest evacuation in human history. The ship was a marvel of human engineering, over 2 kilometers long and equipped with technology no alien had ever seen. On the main bridge, Admiral Park stood before a holographic map showing every evacuation zone on Earth. Green dots represented completed evacuations. Yellow showed ones in progress. There were no red dots. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. "Status report," Park ordered. His second-in-command, Captain Yunji, responded immediately. "North America at 62% evacuation. Asia at 58%. Europe at 71%. Transport streams stable at maximum capacity." Billions of humans were boarding vessels that would transport them across the solar system in a matter of hours. Some ships used conventional engines to reach orbit before activating their faster-than-light drives. Others simply vanished from Earth's surface, using matter stream technology to transport directly to Sanctuary. On the surface, at the New York Evacuation Center, families moved in orderly lines toward the waiting ships. There was no panic. Everyone had been assigned a specific evacuation point years ago. They had practiced this in emergency drills that the aliens had observed and dismissed as primitive civil defense exercises. Meanwhile, at the alien embassy, Ambassador Taiho demanded an emergency meeting with President Kim. When she arrived, she was accompanied not by her usual staff of humble assistants, but by high-ranking military officers in uniforms the aliens had never seen before. As the alien delegation watched in stunned silence from their embassy, President Kim finally dropped the mask of deference she had worn for months. "We appreciate the Conclave's offer of assistance," she said, "but as you can see, we've made our own arrangements." Taiho's skin shifted from its normal iridescent pattern to a dull gray, a sign of extreme shock in Azeri physiology. "What is happening?" he demanded. "These ships, they're beyond your technological capability." President Kim smiled. "Are they? I don't recall the Conclave ever asking what our technological capabilities actually were." She gestured to a holographic display showing a massive structure hidden within Saturn's rings, gradually becoming visible as its cloaking systems deactivated. "Sanctuary," she explained. "Home to 30 million humans already, with capacity for Earth's entire population. We've been building it for nearly half a century." The structure was enormous, a spinning ring over 100 kilometers in diameter. Cities gleamed along its outer edge. Farms and parks filled its inner surface. It was clearly self-sufficient, advanced, and very, very real. Ambassador Taiho's normally composed features contorted in disbelief. "But your technology, we monitored everything." "Did you?" President Kim asked. "Or did you monitor what we allowed you to see?" "Your scanners detected what our systems told them to detect. Your observers saw what we wanted them to see." Taiho struggled to process this revelation. Why the deception? The Conclave would have welcomed an advanced species. President Kim's expression hardened. "Would you? We've studied your history, Ambassador. The Conclave has a pattern of absorbing advanced species that might become rivals, and eliminating those that refuse to join." She stepped closer. "Humanity learned long ago that appearing weak while being strong is the surest path to survival. You saw what you expected to see, a primitive species barely able to reach their own moon. Your arrogance blinded you to the truth. Outside, the sky filled with human ships. Earth's evacuation was proceeding faster than even the most optimistic predictions. Tahoe watched the ships with new eyes, not as a superior being observing primitives, but as an equal, perhaps even as an inferior, witnessing something unprecedented. The solar flare, he began, will damage Earth, President Kim finished for him. But we'll rebuild. Humanity will survive, Ambassador, with or without the Conclave's approval. 3 months after the solar flare, Earth was recovering. Green shoots pushed through blackened soil. Workers rebuilt cities with new materials designed to withstand future disasters. The radiation had dissipated faster than predicted, though much of the planet's infrastructure had been destroyed. Half of humanity had returned home to rebuild. The other half remained in sanctuary, now openly acknowledged as humanity's second home. The new United Nations building in Geneva gleamed in the morning sunlight. Unlike the old one, this structure incorporated both human and alien technology. Its walls could withstand almost any attack. Its foundation went deep into the earth. Inside the main chamber, representatives from every nation on Earth gathered. The mood was different than before. No one acted nervous or impressed when the alien delegation entered. The humans stood tall, confident in their new place in the galaxy. Ambassador Tahoe walked slowly to the center of the room. His posture was noticeably less imperious than before. His skin no longer flashed bright colors of superiority. He looked smaller somehow. The Galactic Conclave formally extends an invitation of full membership to humanity, he announced. His voice lacked its former condescension. Your species has demonstrated technological achievements and organizational capabilities that qualify you for immediate acceptance. President Kim, flanked by Sanctuary Governor Minjin and Admiral Dongyun, received the invitation with a polite nod. She wore a simple blue suit, but her presence filled the room. Earth and Sanctuary thank you for this recognition, she replied. We will, of course, need time to consider the terms and conditions of membership. Tahoe blinked all 6 eyes in what humans now recognize as surprise. Of course, he said, though clearly he had expected immediate acceptance. The conclave awaits your decision. After the ceremony, President Kim and her advisors met in a secure room beneath the building. The walls were lined with technology that blocked all known forms of surveillance, both human and alien. Hai Jin, now promoted to Global Security Director, presented her analysis. They're frightened, she concluded. Our deception worked too well. Now they're wondering what else we might be hiding. She showed them data from monitoring systems that tracked the aliens' communications. They've doubled their defensive patrols near their core worlds. They've started researching new weapons. They're preparing for a threat they never saw coming. Good, Admiral Dongyun said simply. Fear breeds respect. His hair had more gray now, and a new scar ran down his left cheek, a souvenir from helping evacuation efforts during the solar flare. Not just respect, President Kim corrected. Understanding. For the first time, they see us as equals. That was always our goal. She turned to the window, looking out at the rebuilt city. How many did we lose? Defense Secretary Junho looked down at his tablet. Final count, just under 2 million. Mostly those who refused to evacuate or couldn't reach transport centers in time. President Kim closed her eyes briefly. 2 million too many. But without sanctuary. Without sanctuary, humanity might have ended. Governor Minjin finished for her. The discussion turned to the conclave's offer. Full membership would give humans access to technologies from 37 other species. It would also place obligations on Earth to follow conclave laws and contribute resources to conclave projects. And if we decline? Asked Secretary Chunho. Hai Jin's expression grew serious. Possible conflict. Not immediate, but eventually. The conclave has never encountered a species that refused membership after being offered. President Kim nodded slowly. Then perhaps we should introduce them to a new idea. Limited partnership rather than full membership. Later that day, on Sanctuary, Governor Minjin walked through the central dome. Above him, Saturn filled half the sky, its rings stretching across the heavens in bands of gold and amber. Below, the great wheel of Sanctuary continued its slow rotation, creating gravity for the 30 billion humans now living there. Children played in parks designed to mimic Earth's environments. Scientists worked in labs developing technologies beyond even what had been revealed to the conclave. Artists created new forms of expression inspired by their new home in space. Minjin gazed out at the spectacular view of Saturn's rings from Sanctuary's central dome. Equals today, he mused. Leaders tomorrow, perhaps. Humanity has proven more adaptive than any species in the conclave. An aide approached with a message. President Kim had made her decision. Earth would propose a new type of relationship with the Galactic Conclave, neither full membership nor complete independence, but a new category: allied sovereign species. The proposal would be presented the following day. It would likely shock the Conclave, who were not used to negotiating terms, but humanity had already shown they were not what the aliens expected. 1 week later, aboard the Conclave's central meeting station in deep space, President Kim presented Earth's terms. The alien representatives listened in stunned silence. Humanity will share some technologies but keep others private, she explained. We will trade with conclave worlds but maintain independent defense systems. We will learn from your sciences but teach our philosophies in return. Ambassador Tejo looked to his fellow representatives. For the first time in conclave history, they would have to truly negotiate with a new species. As the governments of Earth and Sanctuary awaited the conclave's response, one thing was clear: humanity would never again be underestimated among the stars. The end.